Yo, people, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to today's live. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all good. It's been a minute. Obviously, we had the sad news about the Queen. Rest in peace to the Queen. I hope everyone's, thinking about it, talking to their loved ones. Whenever there's a death, I always think about, let me call my mum, let me call my family members, sometimes we take life for granted, but I think, the Queen had a wonderful life. She did amazing things, lived a wonderful life. So God rest her soul. But yeah, man, we're here today on the same day. We're talking about the Queen passing and we're talking about death. Today we are talking about wills, we're talking about inheritance, we're talking about wealth. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we got Solon, an app called Solon that's going to come on and going to talk about how you can preserve your wealth and look after your wealth and all of that good stuff. But yeah, people, man, I hope you're all good. I don't know how you've been. Listen, how are you feeling? How is everyone? It's a hard time right now. We are in a hard time, financially, emotionally. I know it's hard. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes, it might be hard for you to look and try and find the positives, look and try and find how the good things from life. But I promise you, there's good at all times. You know what I mean? And even if it's hard, even if things are hard, it's not forever. I love that message, and I'm always gonna promote that message. I want you to know, even if life is hard for you right now, even if you're not where you wanna be, even if you don't feel like you're achieving what you wanted to achieve in life, I need you to know that it's not forever. Do you know what I mean? You're not gonna be in this situation forever. Hard times come and hard times pass, and it's about what you learn from it, how you recover, how you move forward, how you start to take those next steps, how you move and say, you know what, actually, I'm going to take what I can from it and I'm going to leave what I need to leave and I'm going to start moving forward and walking forward and determining what I'm going to take out of this life. I need you to understand, people see me and they think, right, man, you're on the TV, I see you everywhere doing this, doing that. There was a time when nobody cared. I need you to understand. There was a time when nobody cared. There was a time where I would put out videos and they would go nowhere. There was a time when we used to knock on television's door and they wouldn't open. There was a time when I was looking for an agent and nobody wanted to work with me. There was a time, even in my career, where I had been let go and I struggled to get jobs. There were a time for all these things. Don't feel like you see success today and you feel like, oh, someone's been successful forever. I need you to understand there was a time, and during that time, I carried on. I need you to understand that the reason I see blessings, I see the good things that are coming my way and all the things that I can enjoy in life are because when the times got tough, when things weren't going well, when nobody cared, I still cared and carried on. I need you to understand where you are. You might feel like, right, you know what? You're asking for help and no one's giving it to you. You're looking for support and you're not getting it anywhere. You're struggling to pay your bills and nobody cares. You deserve a promotion, nobody wants to give it to you. You want stuff from friends, that you've done things for your friends, and now you're asking for help back and none of your friends want to be a friend. You understand? You're looking around and you're saying to yourself, at a time where I need something, there's nothing. And I need you to understand it's part of the process. It's part of the process, and the best thing you can do for yourself is to carry on. The best thing you can do for yourself is to keep going. The best thing you can do for yourself is to have a goal, have a plan, stay focused, and keep working towards it. I need you to understand that, listen, this life ain't easy. The things that you want aren't easy. If they were easy, everybody would have it. Yeah? So what I'm saying to you is, I know what it's like. Sometimes you feel like, I see man on social media is always smiling. I see man's family. I see man's wife and kids and da-da-da-da. Bruv, trust me. Life is good now, but it hasn't always been that way. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And I'm benefiting from the things that I chose to continue to do. And I want you to choose to continue. Sometimes We go on our feelings. I don't feel like I want to do this anymore. I don't feel like I belong here. I don't feel like I deserve this. I don't feel like this is for me. And what I want you to start to do is say, I deserve this. I belong here. This is mine. I'm going to take it. I'm moving forward. I'm claiming that this is for me. Sometimes you don't even know how, but you just staying consistent, the opportunities will come. You just staying consistent, the opportunities will come. And so, you know, like, I know it's a hard time. I'm out here. I'm going across the country, filming stuff all over the country, like Scotland, like up north, down south. Trust me, it's hard everywhere. Everywhere. Like, man doing these TV shows, live phone-ins. Man's getting calls, emails. Email, we want you to come here. We need you to come and talk about this. We want you to come and talk about that. And it's like, wow. Wow, pillar to post. The struggle is real right now. The struggle is real. But I need you to know that, listen, it's not forever. The struggle is real, but the struggle is not forever. I want you to remind yourself that, like, the struggle is real, but the struggle is not forever. Like, there's going to come a day where you're going to stop struggling. And that day is going to come because you never gave up on yourself. That day is going to come because you kept going. That day is going to come because you kept building. That day is going to come because you kept investing in yourself. You kept your personal development up. You kept trying to be a better version of yourself. And because of that, that day is going to come where your life is going to change. All right? Your situation is going to change. And so for me, I just want you to believe it. Like, I can't believe it for you. You have to believe it for yourself. All right? So I just wanted to come on and just share some encouragement, because trust me, when I see everyone on the internet, it seems on the television everywhere, it seems like, you know, it's doomsday. Like, it seems like, judgment day is here and we're all going to the fire. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to say, yo, it's okay. We got life. We got it today. And, you know, we wake up and we go again. Like, we go again and we do better and we keep working. It's okay. Like, and sometimes people are like, oh, E-man, you still want to crack jokes at a time like now. E-man, you're still, bruv. Everyone's got their own style. Like, my style is not negativity. I'm just not on it. I've just never been a negative person. I've just never been a person that just focuses on what's going wrong and what's bad. Like, I'm always trying to find some good in all situations. I'm always trying to find a positive. I'm always trying to find a chink of light that I can walk towards, that I can build towards, that I can use to grow. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, sometimes it's only dark because your eyes are closed. Like, sometimes the reason all you see is darkness is because your eyes are closed. Do you know what I mean? Some of us need to open our eyes and see the opportunities. Open our eyes and see that this could be a push for you to change your situation. This could be your chance for you to do something that maybe you've never thought about doing before, but you're at rock bottom. You know, you're at rock bottom. So when you're at rock bottom, you can go all out. There's nowhere further to go back. So now might be a time for you to say, you know what? Nothing's going my way. Nothing's going the way I want it. Let me try and do something different. Let me take a risk. Let me do something that I've never thought about doing before. Let me do something that I was too scared. If you're at rock bottom, what are you fearing? If it doesn't work, you stay where you're at. Do you know what I mean? But the likelihood is, even if it doesn't work the way you want it to, you learn something, you've moved forward. Yeah? And that's the type of message I want to share with you guys. That's the type of thoughts, that's the type of mindset I want you to have so that you can move forward and have the lifestyle you deserve. You understand? Because sometimes this negative attitude, this negative, always catastrophic, always detrimental, it's the worst thing ever, oh no, how, like, all of that ain't getting us nowhere closer to our goals. All of that is giving us an excuse to give up. Do you know that sometimes the fear that is created leads to us doing nothing? We get so scared by everything that's around us, we end up doing nothing. Who's better off for that? You're not in a better position by doing nothing. So sometimes I'm a type, I feel the fear and I do it anyway. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to put myself in uncomfortable positions. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to do what I need to do to change the life that I want. You understand? Change the life for what I want it to be, not for what they want to give it to you. I need you to understand that in this life, like, what you deserve is not always what you're going to get. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What you deserve is not always what you're going to get. So sometimes you might have done everything to deserve that promotion. You might have ticked every single box and yet they gave it to somebody else. Does that mean you stopped? Listen, sometimes I feel like the way we look at life, the way I look at it in a way is completely different. If I done everything I deserve to get a promotion, I deserve to be promoted. If somebody didn't give me the promotion I deserve, I have the skills, I have the quality, I have the experience, everything I needed to get that promotion, I just take that somewhere else. Listen, sometimes we allow people to tell us who we are. If you know that you're meant to be a manager, but they keep you as assistant, and you know you've done everything and you've got the skills, the experience, the qualifications, everything you need to be a manager, but they give it to someone else, you're a manager. Don't let someone tell you that you're only a manager once they give you that. You know inside of yourself who you are. So you go and get your manager position. You just got to find someone or find a company that sees you as you are. That's it. That's all the challenge is. And that's what it's about. Like, it's about understanding that just because somebody doesn't want to call you by your name, just because someone doesn't want to say you're an entrepreneur, just because someone doesn't want to give you a business loan, just because someone doesn't want to give you what you deserve, that doesn't mean that your business is rubbish. Yeah? Just because you don't get the loan you want, or you don't get the investment that you're looking for, just because someone pulls up, that doesn't mean that your business ain't good no more. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve that promotion. That just means that they ain't seen it yet. That's okay. That's okay. Because as long as you see it for yourself, you can go and get it. This is the type of mindset I want us to have. Don't allow, everyone out here, all these experts out here to scare you into doing nothing. The way these men speak, you think you can't even breathe. The way they're talking is like the air's gonna stop. Like, you got breath in your lungs, you got a will, you got a goal, you got a vision. Go up and get it, man. Go get that. So that was just a little encouragement. You know what I mean? I like to start with a little encouragement. But I wanna bring on, or if Solon is ready, if they can request to join the live, we can do that. If not, I'll try and find them. But yeah, I really want us to I really want us to enjoy this. It's a different conversation I want us to have. Like, we're forever talking about the budget and everything like that, but here I want to talk about wealth and wealth creation and wealth preservation. And I got my bro Kwabena from Solon. Yo, Kwabena, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. How's everything?
Can't complain, man. I feel like having heard your opening monologue, I'm fired up and ready for life, man. There's been some news, the passing of the Queen. And I think, regardless of how, look, I'm not going to pretend like I have any affiliation or I'm a royalist at all, but death in general puts life into perspective.
Yeah.
And despite me not being aligned with some of the things she stood for and done, it was a life well lived. And it does get me thinking about, one of my favorite quotes is, I think, from Bruce Lee. He says that the only way to achieve immortality is to live a life worth remembering. Do you see what I mean? That, if you can do that, if you can live your life in a way where you've made impact and you've continued to make impact even after you've gone, that's immortality, man. So hopefully we'll be able to get into a little bit of that as we proceed through our conversation.
No, definitely. All of that. I think, the big thing for me, and this is the big thing I really take, and I guess I doing my job, I see death differently. Like, I talk about death every single day, because there's no way we talk about wealth and without talking about, okay, when you create this wealth, where does it go? Do you know what I mean? So I've done life insurance. I've had clients pass. I have to ask these morbid questions on doing life insurance and all of that type of stuff. And I have to get people to think about what's life going to be like if you're gone, for your kids and your family and your partner, and get them to understand that. So for me, when I see death, like when I see the Queen dies, like, to me, I think about how many people who didn't come from, a wealthy background, but still made it to 100. Like, you know what I mean?
100%. They did it without the specialist medical care. They did it without the injections.
Think about that.
Eating the top-notch food. And they did it without people taking off all the stresses that the average person like you and I have to bear throughout life. They extracted all of that and still managed to, live to that ripe age. So yeah, you've got to tip your hat to that kind of longevity. There's no doubt.
Do you understand? So you have to think, look, the Queen. So to me, it says, look, if the Queen with all the medical professionals, the best life, like not like she's stressed, like anytime she's doing too much, they take her off or take a break or whatever, you know, she's not racking her brain every single day. Do you know what I mean? And she lives tonight. So what about us? Some of us are working 3-4 jobs. Some of us are trying to juggle how many kids? Some of us are at work getting stressed every single. So to me, you can't think about life and say, well, if the Queen made it 96, we got to really be realistic about how long are we seeing? Do you know what I mean? How long have we got left?
100%, man. 100%. And even more so, she was afforded the time and the resources to arguably maximize her potential and her opportunities, right?
Mm.
We are not afforded such blessings in general. So what we do have, we need to cultivate. We need to make sure we make sure we reap what we sow.
Yeah.
You need to make decisions that we're going to be grateful for moving forward, and just take a second to think, man. We don't get the opportunity to redo some of the decisions that we made in some of the ways that someone like the Queen does. So I think it's even more that we are very intentional about our behavior and the actions we take. 100%.
Definitely. And I guess that brings us nicely on to Solon. And I guess people might not have heard of Solon, so that's probably the best place to start. You know, what is Solon? What is Solon to you? What does it mean to you? Like, obviously there's the function, but what do you think it means for people like us that are now finally getting to a middle class? I tell people, like, for the first time, we are here earning 100K is there. Like, we're there. 70, 80K jobs is there. We're owning property. We're having businesses. You know, we heard about our brother at Fan Bites that sold for 19 million. Do you know what I mean? He's in his, I think, his late 20s or early 30s. Do you know what I mean? We're here. We've got, you know, we're doing stuff when it comes to Calendly is owned by, you know, one of us. Like, do you understand? When you think about wealth and the things that are happening, we're doing so much things on a global scale now. What does Solon kind of mean to you?
So for me, it's really important to underline the fact that, yes, everything you said is true. We are in a position where we are earning more. We have more opportunities. We have access to things that we didn't have before. And with that comes greater wealth and greater opportunities. And I think with that comes a greater responsibility. I think if you talk to a lot of young, Black, Asian, like, people, they're talking about creating generational wealth, right? Money and resources that will exist long after they're gone, that their kids can enjoy, right? That's the goal that a lot of you are trying to achieve. We haven't been in a position for so long because the idea and concept of ownership amongst our communities has shifted. The majority of us now are in situations where our parents owned houses, right? In this country. Like, before then, they either weren't in this country or their parents didn't own houses, right?
Yeah.
So understanding that the ownership of that house is an asset rather than a liability, and how you can put yourself in a position to set yourself up so that when your kids come through, they can enjoy those things, is a thing that we didn't know before. Because, this first time I had a house, so now I've got a house. My idea is just to keep that mortgage paid and live in it, right?
Yeah.
Us who are getting the 70K, 80K, 90K, 100 grand jobs, right? Which are, I'm not saying that everyone's on that, right? But what I'm trying to say is that the majority of us are earning more than our parents earn, right?
Facts.
And I think that's a fair statement to make. I might be wrong in some cases, but I think it's a fair statement to say. We are currently living our ancestors' dreams. That's what we are.
Yeah.
We just do that thing, right? And with that, I think comes a responsibility to ensure that once we are gone, we are affording the same, or if not better, opportunities that come after us, right? When my parents in this country, we grew up in the council estate, and then eventually got into a position to buy a house, right? Bought that house. That house looked after us. We all stayed in there, right? It wasn't seen as an asset or something that was going to flip into money. It was a place where we lived and laid our heads, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was. When I bought my first house, I was like, cool. I'm really happy to be here. I feel very blessed, but it was very much like my vision was this house in like zone 3 next to a tube station in a growing area of London is now an asset. Whatever happens, I need to keep my kids. So when I bought my second home, I was thinking to myself, not necessarily getting excited about the fact that I was moving to a bigger place. It was more like, I need to do everything I can to keep this house so that whatever happens to the next place I'm in, my kids have got like a nest egg, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is what Solon is trying to tap into. It's trying to tap into the fact that we need to make decisions, financial decisions and otherwise, today, that our future selves will thank us for tomorrow. There's no harm in thinking a couple of steps ahead, because those people who have been able to solidify long-term generational wealth are people who have made those decisions, who have taken the time to broaden their perspective and look at things that perhaps their counterparts don't think are relevant to them. I'm not thinking about death, right? I'm not thinking about death. But working on Solon has made me think about what happens like when I'm no longer around and how I can better impact those people, right?
Yeah.
So look, about what must be like 9 years ago now, I went to play football, completely fine. Had a good game of football, came home, made myself something to eat. In the middle of the night, I woke up with a headache, like a pounding, right? Now, my wife is a doctor, and I called her. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. She didn't pick up. Fair enough. She's working hard on the ward, etc. She got to go to sleep. Didn't pick up now. I was trying to go back to sleep. I woke back up 2 hours later. I'm like throwing up. Unfortunately, at the time, I lived like opposite a hospital. I dragged myself at like 4:30 in the morning, stumbled into hospital, and after a couple of incorrect and misdiagnoses, it found that they transpired that I had a brain tumor. Right?
My goodness.
This brain tumor was like eating into my pituitary gland. It was like blocking off my optic nerve, all that kind of madness. Instantly, I went from being a very healthy 26-year-old to now wondering, oh, I've got this thing growing in my brain. They need to go and take it out, remove it. Do you see what I mean? And in that moment, I wasn't thinking to myself, oh, I could die. I was thinking, if I do die, what happens next? Right? I had life insurance because I had like a decent job. It was up there with my job, so it was like kind of it was in line with that. But some of these decisions I hadn't even considered because I'm like 26 years old, right? I hadn't think about what happens if I die of a brain tumor, because I'm not supposed to die of a brain tumor. I'm 26. This isn't relevant to my life, but here I am in the situation. And I say all that to say that life can change really quickly, and one of the few things we can afford ourselves is peace of mind. And by making decisions, by working with tools such as Solon, you can achieve that. Now, that's kind of the sentiment behind Solon. But as a tool, Solon is effectively an app which allows you to aggregate, assess, and look at your assets into totality, and also to write a fluid will. And by fluid will, I mean like a lasting testament that should anything happen in your unlikely demise, you have a will that you can update digitally. You can update and change the beneficiaries, the terms of the will, all that in real time on your phone. Before, writing a will was a very costly, long and drawn out process. And because we didn't have any other options, this is what we did, if we did it at all, right? But like I said to you at the beginning of the conversation, our views on ownership has changed. So the way in which we interact and take action off the back of that also needs to change. And Solon allows you to do that. And, you know, it can be really messy, man. When you lose people and you find like financial issues become such a sore point and families start to disintegrate and have their dramas, Solon allows you to avoid all of that by having a legally binding will that you can see on your phone, you can update, you can get an executive dashboard, a fluid will, you can see all your asset portfolios in one place. So that's your property, your crypto, all of that, all in one place. We can see what it is you have and what you're trying to pass on to who. Multimedia messaging, so you can like attach videos and stuff with instructions, etc., to let people know exactly what you want and when you want it. Proof of like automated proof of life to ensure that, you know, if you're still around, people know that they can't hack into things and change it. Like all of these things in one app. Do you see what I mean? And largely, we have two models. Like we have a freemium model and a subscription model. So there are like two formats you can take. But in any case, both of them give you back ownership, which is a big part of what I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I guess for people to understand, like, can you just compare, like, you know, obviously how wills were done before and the kind of things that Solon now enable you to do that maybe how if you had a will the traditional way, it was kind of more difficult.
I guess like so with a traditional will, it was quite like you'd have to get a lawyer involved. You know, they write it up. You know, there's a limited view on what your assets are because the will isn't going to like read out everything you have. In fact, it's going to be more focused on the things that you want to pass on to particular people, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of different. So you have a restricted view of those assets. And because not everyone is practicing law, the language that's used is legally binding and needs to be that way, but it can be a bit convoluted.
Yeah.
It can be ambiguous for those who are not well practiced. And every time you want to revisit that and look at it or explain to it, you need to take the time of a lawyer, which costs money, right?
Yeah.
And because it costs money, people are like, oh, it costs money every time I go to these lawyers. I'm going to leave it alone. And then before you know it, you know, something untoward may have happened and you're no longer with us. And you find yourself in a situation whereby this will that you intended to be watertight and to go to certain people at a particular time is no longer what you wanted it to be. So that's what people would go through. Whereas with Solon, you can update it anytime you want in the palm of your hand on your mobile phone. You have the access to all your assets and viewing them in its totality in its most transparent form, right? You're not hiding behind legal jargon. You're seeing exactly what is there, how much it's worth.
Yeah.
It happens across all your assets. This, like I said, whether it's crypto or a house or some shares, some bonds, whatever it might be. And you still have all of that legal protection, right? So we're just kind of making it easier for people to take ownership of what they have and where it goes after they're gone.
Yeah, no, it's important. And I think what people need to understand is the reason, like, why we're having this conversation, why we're talking about it, and why Solon is so important is that we are in a position where we are now making money and actually building wealth and inheriting. Let me tell you something. Like, I remember thinking, I used to meet clients, yeah, and they would be like, "Oh, Emmanuel, I'm coming to talk to you. I've got some money coming in. Like, my grand's sick." You know, like them ways, like they're counting the days, like they're waiting. Like, grandma started coughing a little blood. Now it's like, you understand? I've already eyed out. Listen, that's mine. I'm inheriting. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
It's mad. It's mad.
It's a different level. And so for me, it's like one of them things that we are finally coming, like their parents have inherited, and then they're inherit, like generations of passing down wealth. Like, and you have, I always say this, yeah, you have to see wealth imagine like a stepping stone. Yeah. Every time a generation leaves this earth and then they pass down wealth to the next generation, that generation starts at a higher level. And if the goal is like to get here, if you've got 3 or 4 generations of steps, your generation doesn't have to work anything like that first generation had to. Now, one of the big problems with our community is now that we've got wealth, we haven't got the things in place to pass it on. So I'll give you a live example. I got called in to these brothers and sisters were arguing over inheritance, their family inheritance. The mum and dad had left 4 care homes in London, in Southeast London. Each home was worth, the building itself was worth over £1 million per home. And then 2 businesses, both in Streatham area. Yeah? So these mum and dad had done so well. Yeah? And then, as happens, the dad died unexpectedly, and then the mum died soon after, probably heartbreak, like she died soon after. And because there wasn't a will, the kids have started to fight over who's going to get what. And while they were fighting, they were so busy fighting, they forgot to pay the mortgage payments on the care homes. And so 3 of the care homes ended up being repossessed. Yeah. One of the homes they managed to keep. They managed to get an arrangement around. The shops got sold off, and basically they ended up, let's say they were meant to inherit 7-8 million. They ended up inheriting after everything like under £1 million, shared between all of them. And let's be honest, they're probably going to waste it. They're probably going to waste most of it. And so that next generation that should have been having 8 million to build on now has probably going to have nothing. And that next generation is going to start all over again from zero. And this is the problem when you don't have these things in place.
100%.
What is the point of spending your whole life building wealth, doing well, working hard, waking up and then you leave it to banks to come and take away and then sell cheaply to their mates. You leave, or you leave it to the state to inherit because you haven't got no, they can't find anyone to inherit from you, and so they just give it all away.
I mean, it's heartbreaking because when you look at it, like myself, I always say that I should try and leave this earth better than I found it, right? And a big part of paving a way for my kids to benefit from some things I didn't benefit from. My parents worked hard to put me in position to take advantage of opportunities that were never afforded to them, that they didn't even dream about, right?
Yeah.
My responsibility to do that for my kids. And a big part of that is about and have some kind of awareness of the tools that are available to me to enable that to happen. Now, this example that you've given, you know, things, even if they seemed like even had they paid those mortgage payments, they seemed like the kind of people who probably hadn't looked into things like inheritance tax, right? And, you know, with Solon, we have an inheritance tax calculator, which allows you to see how much the government are going to be taking from your assets, and depending on which assets they are and who you're giving to them to, etc. But also advising you on certain tax breaks, right? So we hope to compile an amount of information which allow you to see actually by doing this with certain assets and bonds and shares, etc., you can maximize your earning potential on those things to allow you to make a bigger impact later on. I own shares, right? But I grew up like never knowing that. I thought shares was like for the stinking rich people. It would never be a thing that was relevant to me. Now I have shares. But it's not just about having shares, right? The way in which you sell those shares, how you move them, where you move them, the different tax implications, all those kind of things. Some people are moving shares in a way that they're maximizing the amount of money that comes away. Some people just have shares and then they sell them, right? They sell them and they think that, oh, I get that money, cool. But in some instances, you sell those shares, you rebuy them, and you go through other kind of tax loopholes, you're making more money. But that's not shared amongst our community because we haven't owned anything for so long that this isn't part of our, it's not part of our vernacular, it's not part of the conversations that we're having. Solon aims to change that. We're trying to change the conversation people are having about their money today so that it can benefit them tomorrow. Like, that's the big thing about it. We're not doing enough of that. And I think that there needs to be a certain level of stigmatism removed from the conversation of death, right? It's the one, they say that the two things you can't avoid in life, death and taxes. And Solon does both, right? Solon deals with both in a way that's more palatable, transparent. Yeah. I would say in a large way, compassionate than other places, right? Because we understand, look, people are the people that are going to be using this app, right? We're not using bots. And it's really important for us to understand that these are people with concerns, they have fears, they're coming to talk about something or deal with something that they hope, you know, they can stay with us for as long as possible, and understandably so. So we're trying to, not only the stigma, but also the stresses that come with this conversation, right? We're trying to remove it so people can feel comfortable and confident talking about what happens after they die with their assets, etc. Because I remember the first job I went into, which offered life insurance, was like, oh yeah, okay, so in the event of your death, like, you know, whoever you choose will get 5 times your salary. And I was thinking to myself, oh great, they're not going to be taken care of. I was thinking to myself, rah, that really could happen. Like I could die. And off the back of that, like, you know, that was my first job out of university. And I was like, wow, so after the back of that, like, you know, you're going to give someone 100-something grand. Like, that's mad. Yeah. So now I'm in a stage where I'm like, all right, cool. That might happen. And the amount of money that it's worth now is a lot larger. And so that means that I'm going to be giving more money out to those people. How do I develop and grow what I have to impact as many people on a larger scale as possible? Do you see what I mean? And to do that in a big, big way. And I can't stress enough how, yes, I think that the app is going to be a game changer, right? But aside from that, I feel that the conversation itself needs to be happening. We need to be able to change our focus and where we put our time and energy when thinking about what we do next. And I think, you know, look, you're a financial advisor. Like you've had so many of these conversations. I would like to know how you're feeling this conversation is changing, if at all.
Yeah, I think for me, the big for me, the conversation is changing away from, and I'm happy. That's why, you know, I set up the financial advice firm. Is the conversation is moving away from budgeting and saving and credit cards and building my credit score to, you know, HMOs and buying properties in a limited company and, you know, trusts and wills and powers of attorney and, you know, inheritance and offshore bonds and, you know, making money. And it's really about how am I building it? And that's great. And that's the conversations I want us to have. But I think the problem is that this is a lot of this is new territory. Do you know what I mean? This is territory that we haven't walked before. And one of the biggest problems for me is that we're not talking about money enough. People think, E-man, you come on and like maybe on my channel, I'm busting jokes. I'm not always giving you like, this is a pension, this is a mortgage, I'm not really on that. Why? Because I want my audience to know that I'm a real person. I'm a real person, like, and because I'm a real person, when it's time to have that conversation, we can have a real conversation about money. And I think for a lot of us, now that we are making money, we don't even know who to turn to. We don't know who am I going to have this conversation with, because my parents definitely ain't good with money. Do you know what I mean? And remember, we're getting it on both ends. A lot of us at this stage now, we might be looking after our parents because of the jobs that they did, they didn't have great pensions. So, you know, cost of living crisis now, they might need extra help and support. And then we've got children that we're raising, or, you know, teenagers, whatever it may be, that we're raising, and they need money as well. And so we've got the previous generation and the future generation that we are managing all at once. And it's a conversation of how do we make this work? Because I know that, you know, in other communities, they've passed this stage. But how have they been able to do it? And like you said, it's about leaving this earth in a better place than how I found it. Do you know what I mean? And I think if we really start to take that on as a mantra, like how important is that to us? I think sometimes, you know, we are so focused on self that we don't look to, okay, what have I left on? What's my legacy? Do you know what I mean? We see these people. I have seen, you know, people who have been really successful, and their funeral feels like, you know, it was a 5-on-5 scrimmage of a basketball game because there's nobody there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you have lived this life, you made this money, you've hired all these employees, and when you've gone, it's only the few that benefited from you that have decided to turn up. And it's like, actually, what are we doing for this legacy? And the thing I like about Solon, it's an easy way. It's an app. It's something that we're used to using. Now, you are now just logging in your details, logging in your assets, putting it in, and then you can see how much wealth are we really talking about? Because some of us think we're doing really well. Let me tell you, one of the biggest cons ever is that we feel that we are doing well because we are making money. It's the biggest lie ever, yeah? And I always use the example of Mike Tyson, who at one point in his boxing career had been paid 400 million. 400 million, and he still went bankrupt. Yeah? One of the biggest lies that we can make is that because we are making money, we're done. That's it. If I'm making money, I must have money. No. I always tell people the average millionaire has an income of around 100K. Which means that the average millionaire is not a millionaire because of their income, they're a millionaire because of their assets. 100%. And so when you understand that concept, now you understand that, okay, if I'm making money, the only way I can really build wealth, the only way is not based on my income, it's based on what I do with that money and the assets that I buy and invest in with my money. And we see it with footballers, we see it with NFL. These men make more than a lot of people make in their whole lifetime in the space of 10 to 15 years and still end up bankrupt. And one of the lies that I'm seeing creeping into our community is that we're making money, we can afford to go on holiday, we can afford first class, we can afford nice cars, we can afford 1 point whatever million mortgages, and so we must be doing well. And the problem is that actually doing well is relative, and to me, doing well is ownership and wealth. Because 100%. An income or a salary can be here today and go. I look at Thomas Tuchel. For those that watch football, Man got sacked. Just last, this is a guy that won them the Champions League, all of these cups, but sacked. So now he's looking for a new job. He might get a payout, but he's looking for a new job. If he now gets tarnished because of that and struggles to get a job, he now has to survive on the previous income. If he has lived, hand to mouth for the last however many years of earning, he's going to run out of money. And so for me, this is about, yes, we are making money, and yes, we are doing better than our parents, but that shouldn't be our example. For too many of us, we're comparing ourselves to our mum and dad.
It shouldn't be our example, but what it should be is our motivation, right? And part of what you're saying, a key part of what you're saying is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. If something's going to make money or hold you money, it's an asset. If something's costing you and it's draining your cash, it's a liability. You need to be able to sort one from the other. Solon does a great job of giving you views of your assets. Doesn't take into consideration your liabilities, because you can't hand over a liability to someone. You can't pass on a liability after you pass away. What you can do is give someone an asset so they continue to get growth. You made the point about if you have money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing well. You're right, because what money does is gives you access to things, right? It gives you great access to knowledge, gives great access to opportunities, opens doors. You're right, but it's not the final form. And if you can put yourself in a position where that money continues to be the key that opens certain doors, but not necessarily what the prize is behind that door, and you understand the difference, that is where the knowledge lies. And I think a big part of what Solon is doing is demystifying that, right? And allowing people to have transparent conversations about what they own and what they don't. Because when people, especially in this country, right, when I'm working with people in the States, right, so, because of my job, I work with people in the States, and they can be quite open about how much they make, right?
Yeah.
They can tell you straight up, like, I make this amount of money. They could be like an adjacent position to you within the company. They can be very upfront and transparent about how much they make, and they do so because for them it's not an issue. In this country, people don't talk about who they vote for. They don't talk about how much they make, because it's impolite. Actually, it's just the way in which to keep people conform to like wherever they're at, right? If you don't know what other people are making, you don't know what the benchmark is. You can't question and challenge and think, oh, I should be up there. Nah, you've got no viewpoint of that. I remember my first job out of uni, I was working crazy hours. And because I was working for this big company, this big advertising network, I was just so happy to be there. Like, I took my 19 grand, I thought, yeah, this is cool. But then my next job was with a bigger company, and I was making 50% more money, working 50% less hours. I was like, fewer hours. I was like, oh, so this is possible. You can do that, right? And I was like, okay, cool. So now I've got more time on my hands and more money. Like, what am I going to do with that extra money, which I couldn't have done before, right? Start thinking about ways in which I could invest or save and blah blah. Made that decision. Okay, this is how I'm gonna buy my first house, and so on and so forth. But I demystified how much I could make in this industry at that age. It opened up more doors for me, right? The transparency thing is a really, really important point. If we are not transparent in what we are, not necessarily what we're making, not everyone's comfortable with that. And I'm not telling you to, put the amount of money you're making on your forehead. But what I think needs to happen is for people to be able to share advice, opinions, like guidance on all of these things. I had a friend talk to me the other day about how they manage their shares when it comes to their tax return, right? It blew my mind, because she was like, actually, if you take these shares and you sell them here and you rebuy them here, I was like, oh, so I would have saved like thousands of pounds just by doing that. And us having that honest and transparent conversation allowed that to happen. Solon is a massive beacon for transparency around your finances and your assets.
Yeah.
Right? And it allows you to maximize the opportunity that you have for them, which means that you're most likely to be able to make an impact long after you're gone. The people around you, I see a comment there about how people see each other as competition, right? There's nothing wrong with competition as long as it's healthy, man. We should be trying to bring the best out of each other through having these conversations, using platforms like Solon. I mean, I say like Solon, but there's nothing else like Solon out there, to be frank with you. Like, there just isn't. So if you're trying to get a better understanding of what your assets are and how you can maximize them so they exist and make impacts, like not just today but tomorrow. I think your money, what you do with your money, it ripples. It has a ripple effect, right? It's just like waves. If you make that thing of money, it reverberates. And if you do it wisely, it will reverberate in a positive way long after you're gone, right? And we've seen like families, like, I don't know, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, and you know, all of these families that for generations had this cash. They've had this cash because yes, they've had a lot of money, but they've made certain investments and they've managed it in such a way that it's continued to exist. And Solon hopefully will be the first start in helping our community to do the same thing. And that's what I'm really passionate about, man. I want everyone around me to win, man, because people who know me know that I always say that we don't win until everyone else does, right? Like that's it. I'm not a winner until my team is winning. Like that's it. And so when people come to me, they're asking about certain things, I'm willing to shed a light on that, right? People talk about, oh, what's your net worth, for example? You know, how much are you earning? How much do you make? How much are you worth? Like Solon can compile all of this information so you can answer these questions, and not only just so you have the knowledge, so you know what to do with it once you have that information. Do you see what I mean? And that's all part.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Solon. It's not just about, okay, adding up all your assets, liabilities, here's your net worth, but it's also about educating you on, okay, how can you be more tax efficient? How can you be better with your money? What things can you do to ensure that as this money grows, you're protecting it? And a lot of the time, you know, you have to pay a financial advisor or an estate planner or whatever to give you that advice, and you might try to avoid that due to cost and so forth. But you get that within the app. And for me, it's about making, you know, this Solon makes a will so easy and so accessible that it doesn't feel like a will. It just feels like yeah.
Literally, that's it. Like you're absolutely right. Like at the touch of a button, you can create that will, and you remove having to spend however many hundreds of pounds talking to a lawyer for ages about things that you know you are pretty clear on, and you've got in there with a clear idea of what you want to achieve, right? But someone's like longer the whole conversation out because that's how they made their dough. Like if you have it in your hand, people will sign up to social media apps. They'll put in all their information and all that kind of stuff so they can go and score pictures.
Yeah.
It takes half the time to put that information on Solon and get a picture of how much you make now and how much you can make moving forward and the other people who would benefit from that. Like why when you have to compare the two, is there really a competition? Like that's where you should be spending your time.
Yeah, no, and the good thing is once you've done it, and you can take your time to do it, but once you've done it, it's there. Then it's just about adding new assets or whatever. You're not having to recreate each and every time. You know, with a traditional will, you write that will once. If you get the divorce or you need to make changes or if anything happens, you now have to get a new one rewritten all over again. Solon is one that it follows you. As you build, as you grow, as you start to invest in new things, as you start to build your assets, it can build with you. So that's excellent. So I guess we're coming to the end here. We're gonna get some questions from people. So if you've got a question, put in the question box, and we'll go through the questions. But do you want to just tell people where they can go to if they want to try the app, talk a bit about the app itself and everything like that?
Yeah, sure. So you can go on the Play Store or on the Apple App Store, and you can download Solon App. It's pretty straightforward. I guess for me, I would say that it's really important for you to go on there. Also, check out the website at solonapp.com, where you can learn a little bit more about the app and the benefits. I mean, for me, I think that the key takeaways are the fact that you are able to write a will, a legally binding will, that you can update at any time. And you can add your executors, your benefactors, and update that, remove those people, add them as and when you see fit. You're also in a position to add your assets as and when they come in, right? So today it might be a house and some crypto, right? Tomorrow it could be a couple of houses, some crypto, some shares. So, you know, in a couple of years' time, it could be crypto, shares, bonds, all of those things are itemized on the app, and you can talk about where you'd like them to go in case anything happens to you, right? And you also have automated proof of life. This is a big thing, right? So people know that it's watertight, it's safe, because it can only be controlled by you. And if, God forbid, anything happens to you, that kind of transparency and legally binding is all kept in the same place. So Solon App, I think, having that fluid will, allowing you to go into this, it'll change at any time without having to go through all the legal jargon and spending hundreds of pounds talking to a lawyer who doesn't really have your best interest at heart or trying to make that money. You can take all that stuff by downloading the app, right? So I'll do that. We've also written an ebook called Solology, which is all about future-proofing your financing. We are really passionate about the idea of future-proofing your finances because, look, I mean, assets, in whichever way they come, are going to be there long after you're gone. If you can keep it close to those who you are, close to who you want to benefit from this moving forward, like Solon is the way to do it. We have other apps who kind of do parts of what we do, but no other app does everything that we do, right? And it was really important for us to be able to take care of all of these things in one place. So once you have this app, you won't need anything else. So yeah, that's why I encourage you all to check it out.
All right. So someone's asked, is a will the same as life insurance in the sense of being able to put in trust? If so, how?
So life insurance is different because you pay into it on a regular basis, and then if something untoward happens, then the people you've identified as your beneficiaries will be given a lump sum, and that's it, right? And then that's kind of like the connection is done. With a will, however, it takes in consideration all the assets you have. You don't pay into a will; it's the money that you already have or own, things that you own or have, which can be updated. If you go to a lawyer and you have to do it, you pay a fee to continually update every time you want to change your will. With Solon, you can do it all yourself in the palm of your hand. So as you acquire new things, it could be like a classic car, it could be a stamp collection, it could be an NFT. Like all of these things now are really easy to do. And when you come through Solon, you're able to make those changes and give people access. And you can also change the beneficiaries. Like you could say it's going to go to it's going to my kids on Tuesday. You could say, you know what, those kids are pissing me off. So the next day I'm giving it all to the cat. Like whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But you have complete ownership in doing that. You can do it just like that. So
Okay, cool. Someone just said they just joined. What's the name of the app? So the name of the app is Solon. Guys, people write in the questions in the chat. The chat is moving too fast. We can't see your questions. That's why they have a chat box. Can you put your questions in the question box, and then we can be able to ask them. So yeah, the app is called Solon. It's a digital will, okay? And that's what we've been talking about today. Don't worry, I'm going to save the live so you can go back and watch it. One thing I did see someone asked was, what's proof of life? Can you explain that?
So proof of life is the process through which you prove that someone is like not only just like alive, but they're like of sound mind, right? And before legally, this was quite a long and drawn out kind of convoluted process. With Solon, it does it like automated, so it's kind of linked to what the app does is to take consideration, all your details, where you are, like health, all that kind of stuff. And should anything like go wrong, automatically it notifies your beneficiaries that something is awry, and your lasting like testament will that's been put in there is what's been ejected. So because you can change it like pretty much any time up to real time, you're better placed to get the most updated version of what that person wanted should they have passed away. If you are dealing with like having to get appointments with legal counsel representation, it's a lot trickier, right? So that's something that to take into consideration. The whole point of having this kind of technology that we have these days and the smartphones and apps, etc., is to make the most frictionless experience of getting things done as possible. And managing your affairs should you pass away should be no different to that. And that's what Solon's trying to do.
Okay, so someone's asked, can I put my life insurance in trust in the app? Is a will and a trust, is it a will and a trust form?
So you can put your life insurance in there, because it's part of your like assets. You're going to be accumulating money in your life insurance as it goes up, and once you pass away, that gets passed out to whoever. It's part of the money that would exist like long after you're gone. The ways in which it's distributed can also work like a trust, right? So because your will can determine how and where things are being spread and sent and the conditions on which that person will receive those assets, it works in the same way. So you can put that will and say, look, I'm leaving this house to my daughter, right? But she only gets it when she hits 25. And that's what will be carried out. And for those you think that these might be like, really long and drawn out, having to update it, there's multimedia messaging on the app as well, which allows you to drop like videos. If you want to go Iron Man style and leave like a video, a hologram of what you want to happen after you've passed away, like you can do all that kind of stuff on the app as well. So.
All right, great. I just want to clear things up for people because there's a lot of life insurance questions and trust. So what you have to understand when we're talking about a will is basically your estate, yeah? And so what happens is that you have a will, and then with your will, it's your estate, what you want to do with what's left after you pass away, which is called your estate. The assets left after you pass away is your estate. And what your will does is say how you want that to be distributed. What you have to remember is that there's something called inheritance tax, yeah? So with inheritance tax, before your will can be distributed, before your estate can be distributed according to the will, they're going to see how much you have, and if you have over a certain amount, they're going to take inheritance tax, and the inheritance tax has to be paid before it can be distributed, yeah? So with your life insurance, what you want your life insurance to do, if you put your life insurance in a trust, it's now outside of your estate, yeah? So yes, you can have your life insurance and it can go straight into your estate and then be distributed by your will. The problem with that is that if it goes into your estate, there's now inheritance tax before your wishes of your will can do what you want, yeah? If you have life insurance and you put it in trust, it goes, instead of going into your estate, it goes into a trust, and the trust will have the beneficiaries that you have selected, and you would have selected trustees to act on your behalf after your death to distribute it, which means that that money that is put into that trust is not calculated as part of your estate, okay? So it's really important for you to understand that if you have a life insurance, you want to have a trust and let the trust decide trustees decide where that money is going to go based on what you said as who you want to leave it as your beneficiaries. Okay? I hope that clears up that question. All right. So what do we have now? Can you give access to anyone, or can you have a joint wills?
So you can do that, and you can decide who has access based on what you've outlined in the app, but it's limited. So the amount of stuff that they can see is determined by you, right? So you can let them see if they're a beneficiary and leave it at that, or you can have it so they can see that they're a beneficiary and maybe like also like their brother or their sister is also a beneficiary, etc. But it's really important to remind people that the ownership of all your assets, the visibility, all that kind of stuff is controlled by you, right? So a big part of what Solon trying to do is to deliver that level of transparency, but ownership in terms of who can see what, who benefits from what, and who gets what after you pass away.
Okay. So question here, does Solon tell you how much each beneficiary shall receive when I assign them assets?
Does Solon show you? Yeah, Solon does. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So for each one of those assets, right, and for each one of those beneficiaries, you outline which assets are going to go to who, and then because you can see as a percentage of your overall like wealth, what they do. Yeah. So for example, if you want to leave certain people houses but not shares, or you want to leave certain people bonds but not crypto, or whatnot, that's completely up to you, and you'll be able to see as in that portfolio, this person is getting this much, which is this percentage of like your overall like wealth or estate or whatnot, and when they get it.
Yeah. So to make that easy, let me give you an example for me. So I've got 4 children now. If I decide to leave them different percentages, I can see in the app how much I'm actually leaving to them. So if, for example, I then inherit, let's say I inherit from my parents, and then I want to allocate that to my children, I can first see how much have I allocated, because I might have allocated more based on whatever I've left to them, more to one than another. I can then select, okay, with this asset, I'm gonna do X percent to this one to kind of balance it out. Or you might say, actually, I want more to go to this person, to this child, and so you can see the allocation. So again, it puts you in control. you've worked hard, you've got the asset, and you're leaving it. You can decide. It doesn't just have to be, split equally amongst everyone. You can decide how much you want to leave, and you can then see within the app how much you're leaving to each child. And you might say, actually, let's say for example, I'm leaving $1 million for each child, but I've still got 2 mil left. I might leave that to charity. I might decide that actually $1 million is enough. I'm not leaving them anymore. But how are you going to know this? Like, how are you going to see this on a piece of paper? You're going to really sit. The app is literally going to tell you, based on the decisions you've made so far, this is how much you're leaving, and this is who you're leaving it to. And then you can then, as you continue to make wealth and continue to build, you can then allocate those assets. It's a living will. There's like Pablo said, there's nothing like it. And so for me, this is a game changer. And this makes it more accessible, more easy, makes it more real. It makes it less, oh, I've got to see a lawyer and I don't know if I'm going to get ripped off or whether I've got a good price. So this is about you taking control of your wealth that you built, and you seeing and making sure you're picking those beneficiaries. And if you fall out, for example, one child might decide, listen, they're talking to you in the wrong way. You might say, you know what? I'm just going to go in this Solon app. I'm going to change this all around. Do you know what I mean?
I've got 2 daughters, right? I've got 2 daughters. And today I went to buy my daughter school shoes, right? Me and my wife went out, and she was moving wild. I said to her little sister, who's 9 months, hey, love, your inheritance just doubles because this one just counted herself out. Doesn't behave. When I saw that, blip, 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 quickly, she was, you know what I mean? So if she behaves this weekend, I might break off a couple more change, give her a little bit of a boost. But right now, her sister just doubled inheritance, mate, just by just good behavior. But this is, right, people spend more time tweaking like their fantasy football teams. They could be, like investing in their future. Honestly, I can't stress how little time this whole process takes. But reclaim ownership on over your finances and your assets. Like, do yourself that favor and put yourself in position not only to win for tomorrow, but for your kids to win too. Do you know what I mean? For your loved ones to win too. To make sure that your money goes and continues to impact and benefit the people that you want to benefit and impact. And that's what Solon does. It's like, this is an area that people are looking at. This is not a new social media app. This is not a photo editing app. This is not another app to take up time on your day and space on your phone without making any real. This is real world impact. It's not something you have to go into every day. But if you go in there once, you load up your assets and beneficiaries, you give yourself an opportunity to see your net wealth. How much money are you worth? How many assets do you have? Who are they going to go to? So simple. But I mean, for me, like I said, I was chilling one day, brain tumor the next, had to start thinking about my life and different opportunities that I need to make and different that I want to make. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And since then, God willing, I've been able to live a healthy life. And in doing so, I'm now making more money than I've ever made before. And I'm not saying I've made it. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm trying to say is I'm in a position now where thinking about these things really matters. And it doesn't matter where you are in your earning. It doesn't matter where you are in your earning. This is all about giving you control. So whether you're earning 17K or you're earning 70K, it doesn't matter. Like, take control of your finances because they're yours, man. You're the one who goes into work every day. And you're the one who, when the boss is talking nonsense or the tube is late or you're having an off day, like, that money is what you're working hard for. So make sure that the money also works hard for you. And downloading Solon is the first step in making sure that happens.
Yeah, I guess we've got to wrap it up now. But before we go, is there any costs or charges for Solon?
So Solon, like I said, there are two options. There's the freemium model, which allows you to access the majority of our features. You can create a will, etc. But there's also a subscription model, which is £59 a year, which allows you to have your automated proof of life. And there are a couple of additional features. But I would say the most important thing is to download it, have a look at the assets and what the tools are available to you, and see the ones that resonate most in your life. Because the way I see it is, this is a small amount of money to pay to take complete ownership over your financial future. That's it. Like, you need to think about, for the price of less, actually, with all these raffles and these days, you on resale on it, but for less than a pair of trainers, like, do you see what I mean? you can take control of your financial future. So you need to ask yourself, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, make decisions today that your future self will thank you for, and downloading Solon is definitely got to be one of those things.
All right, no, Governor, thank you so much for your time. Thank everyone for being here. If you have any last words, like where should people go if they want to download it again, if you want to remind them, if people want to get more information, what the website is, and also if they want to download the ebook, where should they go?
So if you go to www.solonapp.com, you'll be able to find links to the Play Store as well as the App Store, where you can download the app. You can also download our ebook, which is all about future-proofing your finances. You can learn about different types of assets classes, about inheritance tax, about your net worth, just a bunch of like tips and tricks to help you live a more financially healthy life. And then should anything happen, you're fully prepared. For us at Solon, it's really important that we deliver that peace of mind, man. And with all the information that's available on the website and through the app, hopefully that's something we can give you.
Yeah, love that. I love that. So guys, listen, invest in yourself. Remember, this is a Black-owned app. This is a Black-owned, like, digital will. Like, this is what we're talking about. This is the spaces that we're moving into. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, it's created to make it easy for us to start building wealth and seeing our wealth and taking control of our wealth, you know? And so for me, like, support it, share it with people, share it with your friends, share it with your family, try it out. Like I said, there's a free version. So go on there. There's no financial burden stopping you from trying this out and getting started, you know? For me, it's so important that we understand that we are in these spaces. We exist in these spaces. Why? Because we have improved and we are moving into these spaces as a people. And so we are now finding apps and companies and organizations that are meeting us where we're at. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it's so important and so vital that we utilize these resources that are made for us, by us. Do you know what I mean? And so I want you to download it, but don't just do it for yourself. Make sure you share it. Make sure you let people know. Make sure you follow Solon so you get more updates on things that they're doing. You hear about it more. You know, let's spread it. Don't just keep this stuff to yourself. You know, we're very quick to share when, you know, something happens to a celebrity or when all of this types of stuff. But we're not as quick to share when we're actually doing crazy things that maybe we never thought we would be in these spaces. I have worked in financial services for over 15 years. I never thought the day would come where we would have our own digital will, and let alone it be made by us. But we're here. It's happened. So support it, promote it, value it, and let's make it move. Let's make it grow. And Kwabena, thank you for your time. Thank the whole team for everyone that's behind it, everyone that's got it to where it is today. And I'm excited for where it's going to be and how it's going to keep growing. So you lot definitely make sure you look out for Solon and all the great things that they're doing over there.
For sure. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time. You see the Solon app Insta, so join, see what we're about, learn a little bit more about the brand. But thank you very much, man, for the time. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you, everyone, being on here. And you know what? I'll be back again soon with more updates, more encouragement, more motivation. Keep going, people. Keep focusing, keep building, and we'll catch up soon. All right. I'm going to save the live. So if you missed this, go back, watch it, share it with friends again. All right. Blessings.